Al. Welcome to CiNEMACHiNE. I'm here with Brandon.
Hello.
And Ryan.
Howdy.
This week we're going to review your pick. But first, we want to make sure that you all know how to get in touch with us. So, Ryan, do you want to tell everybody where they can find us?
Yes, sir. On Instagram and Twitter, any of the social channels, it's at CiNEMACHiNE and we love chatting with you guys. So hit us up on there. And then if you're watching on YouTube, down in the comments, tell us what you like, what you don't like, if you have movie suggestions, and we will chat with you.
That's good. That's good. It's good.
We won't ignore you.
What should they leave in the comments?
Comments?
Yep.
Is that what you're going for?
Or your votes. Because later on in the show, if you've never watched before, you get to vote on what we have to watch next week.
There you go.
So this month of November, we're doing 90s November throwback extravaganza sweet jam. So
I will say we had record votes this week.
did we?
By far record votes. Yeah.
Okay, so people, I would imagine the majority of people that are watching are maybe children of the 90s, probably early 2000s, the younger crowd.
True.
So this week, once again, Ryan won.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Ryan.
Brandon. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
I would like to thank my mom, my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't want to take your airtime. Go ahead.
You love me. You really love me.
We are watching. Last week's category was what was it? Sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah.
Sci-fi fantasy, right?
Yep.
We're all on the show. We don't know. So, that's what it was. And you guys voted heavily. Now, the choices were last week. Brandon chose Terminator 2. I chose Waterworld. And Ryan chose the winner, which is The Matrix. Now, The Matrix came out March 31st, 1999. The Wachowski... Am I saying Wachowski? Is it Wachowski or Wachowski?
Wachowski.
Okay. Siblings directed it. And they had a budget of $63 million. Had a box office worldwide of $466 million. Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, believes that Morpheus, Laurence Fishburne, an elusive figure considered to be the most dangerous man alive, can answer his question, what is the Matrix? Neo is contacted by Trinity, a beautiful stranger who leads him into an underworld where he meets Morpheus. They fight a brutal battle for their lives against a cadre of viciously intelligent, secret agents. It is a truth that could cost Neo something more precious than his life. Cadre got me.
Al can't read.
Cadre got me. I'm not gonna lie.
Nailed it.
I went to art school. So we got Keanu Reeves as Neo, Laurence Fishburne as Morpheus, Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity, Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith, Joe Pantoliano as Cypher, Marcus Chong as Tank, Anthony Ray Parker as Dozer. Do any of these other people even matter?
I think you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You can stop at Joey Pants.
Yeah,
Stop
Joey
there.
Pants was great on Sopranos. All right, so I guess we'll talk about initial thoughts.
I was really looking forward to Al reading Julian Arahanga.
Yeah, maybe Aranga. So anyway, let's talk about initial thoughts when you first saw this movie. So, and when did you first see this movie? So, Ryan, we'll start with you.
So I was born in 91, so I did not see this movie right
It was
when
a
it came
dark, stormy night.
But this is like one of the first movies that I
Ever saw.
like action movies that I really like latched onto, and really enjoyed technically, and I love the I love the color grading in it. I just thought it was very different, and I could already see the look in your eye. Yeah, it's color grading's great, Ryan. I think this was the first movie that I bought on DVD.
DVD.
Yeah.
Same.
So
no, not the first.
It was. It was.
Sorry.
Go. Yeah. No, I love this movie. So I picked it. Obviously loved it. But we can get into details later. Brandon.
I didn't see this in theaters. I wasn't aware of it probably until maybe a few years after it had already released. I guess I did watch it the first time at home on DVD. And I think my first kind of introduction to it, my main memory of it is honestly like in Sears in Athens at the mall, at one of the like Bose like demo areas.
Yeah.
This was like one of the like Reference quality movies that they would show to like sell home theater equipment.
You know what?
And
it's like the dumbest thing ever that I remember is when this movie came out. It came out in that DVD case that it was like soft covered kind of, but it had like the flip tab on it on the side.
Yep.
That's like one of the things I vividly remember.
Yep. Totally, Ryan. I know what you're saying.
Those are the worst cases.
He feels me.
Yeah, those
Al
cases
even hates
were
the DVD case.
Those digipack cases.
Yeah, I guess that's what they were. Yeah, I mean, are we doing little mini reviews?
Just say how you felt about it at first and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I still love it, and yeah, I mean, it definitely made it. It wasn't like Ryan. I guess Ryan was saying it was like the first like major like action sci-fi type movie that made an impression on me. Mine was probably T2. Actually, no, it definitely was T2. But this one was probably one of the first sci-fi movies that made an impression on me. But we can get into that later.
Al, tell us what you think about this movie.
What I thought about it when I initially saw it. We'll get into what we think about it now. Because it could have changed.
Could have changed.
Back in 1999, I was a very young buck. And a friend of mine and I, Alan, we went to see this movie at a late night showing.
Alan.
Hey, what's up, Alan?
Alan.
Yeah. And he had a brother, Alvin. So when the three of us hung out, it was really tough.
Man,
so
sounds awful.
I'm being for real, too. So anyway.
It's like a TV show.
Were y'all chipmunks?
No, they were some of my best friends. They look like Tupac Shakur. It was really funny. So if you're listening, what's up, guys?
They're not.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're twin brothers. That's why I say they look like Tupac Shakur. So anyway, we went and saw this movie about 11 o'clock at night, somewhere around in that area. We were just kind of bored, hanging out and everything. And then
Alan in Alabama, seeing Matrix.
All
Did
together.
you just say The Matrix? So
Brandon loves the Matrix.
My little Keanu. So anyway, went to see this at Hollywood Theaters in Mobile, Alabama, and it was a relatively new theater, so we'd go see anything out there. We both walked out of this movie dumbfounded that people thought this was a good movie. I saw it like a couple of days after it came out, so just reference this came out right before my birthday, and I like to see movies, so I was like, let's go see it. Whatever. I like Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted and such, and Parenthood. So I really liked Keanu. He wasn't what he is now back then. This is what kind of brought him into a household. I mean, people still knew who he was because of Bill and Ted, but I just liked him. So
Speed. Was Speed before this?
I believe so. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So I guess people did know who he was, but this really took him to another level.
Point Break.
Point taken. So so
Score
all right, so
one
everybody
for
knew who
Brandon.
Keanu Reeves was, but I mean, to be honest with you, not everybody talked about Keanu Reeves like they do now. Like everybody talks about how cool a guy he is, nice guy, blah blah blah. I think the girl still found him very attractive. So anyway,
he hadn't yet killed anybody with pencils.
Sure. And
John Wick
walked out of this movie and just saw the dudes bumping fist and chest bumping and all that stuff. Bro, it's a good movie. And
this is all coming into focus now.
I was exhausted from them being stupid D-bags. So, so I have hated this movie since then. I hated this movie. Hate it. Like, to a point to where Brandon always threatened to make me watch it. And now it's happened. Yep. So, yeah, this is one of my least favorite movies. You can tell that your boy Snyder foams at the mouth over this movie because he color grades his movies the exact same way. Everything's seafoam green. So,
don't think so, but go ahead.
I'll disagree with you there, but all right.
Zack Snyder movies are seafoam green.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, and they're just as bad and hokey. They're kind of like that whole realm of music.
Let's
that people
focus
listen
on
to.
the Matrix.
I am, but yeah, I didn't like it. I hated it. Like to where I would like anybody that would say they liked it. I just thought less of them. I was like, ugh, gross. I was a teenager. So
Wow.
So anyway, that's how I initially felt.
I want to know what these bros in the theater did to you guys while you were watching this movie.
Stuffed him in the locker or something.
No, it wasn't like that at all. It's just
Al climbed out of the trash can when he left, and
you were putting butter in your popcorn. They come up and pull your underwear over your head. What happened?
No, didn't eat popcorn. I don't like when people are loud and obnoxious at movies. Hence the clapping thing. And it wasn't even anything they did during the movie. It was just I thought they were ridiculous for liking the movie. I immediately didn't understand why people didn't like this movie. So, but I will say this. This is right around the time, probably about 2 years after I started getting into like independent cinema and the stuff that I'm really into now. Of finding my kind of finding what I really liked, not just what my mom and dad or family were going to see or whatever. It was kind of that, like stepping out of the shadows of what was forced upon me. Not that anything was forced. I'm just saying, you know what I mean. So that's my initial thought. So let's get back to how many times have you guys seen this silly movie? Ryan, how many times have you seen this movie?
I've seen this movie a lot.
That's a number.
How many different formats do you own this movie?
If I,
Ryan?
Is this your Shining?
Well, I definitely do have it on DVD still in a box somewhere. I definitely have it on Blu-ray, and I just bought the 4K last year. So.
Yeah. And digital, I'm sure.
Yes, digital as well.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I watched your digital copy, Ryan.
Nice.
Thank
There
you.
go. You're welcome.
So you watched, more than likely, the remastered version that has different color grading than it did in the DVD and Blu-ray release.
Okay.
So I don't
Just
care.
say-
Seafoam cream.
Brandon, how many times have you seen this movie?
Probably somewhere in line with Ryan. I mean, I've seen it so many times.
This is one of those movies, like, you watch it so many times that you could probably just quote it for me. If like, I could just walk it, like, pick a point in the movie, drop in, and probably start, like, spitting the dialogue.
This was one of the movies that I remember Melissa and I just started dating whenever the, like, Reloaded and Revolutions were coming out. And so...
What was that, 2002?
Something like that. Yeah, we started dating in 2002. And so we
First
watched
date
and
was
those.
Spider-Man, right?
They filmed those back to back, so they came out, within a year of each other. So that was like a movie that, or two
when
movies
people
that we
ask
kinda-
me when Matrix came out, I have to go, when did Brandon and Melissa start dating? Oh, 2002. That's when it came out.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Everybody knows.
First date was Spider-Man, right?
That's right. Man, you guys
Yeah.
are good.
See, I just know you so well.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you feel all warm inside?
But to answer your question, I've seen it numerous times. I mean, I don't know how many, but more than a handful, more than a few handfuls.
Yeah, I'm probably well up into the 20s or 30s for this bad boy.
Great.
Al's
you've
like,
seen it twice.
Disapprove.
This is my second time seeing this movie.
You thought it was crap the first time? What do you think your second time?
I think it's crap. I think this movie is garbage.
What?
I hate this movie so much. I tried, guys. I really did. I was like, you know what?
What is it that like grinds your gears?
Yeah, besides the people that like it, what about the movie do you not like?
I just feel like it's a douchebag movie. I can't.
What
stand
about
it.
the movie?
What does that mean?
You can't just say like it's a douchebag movie. What about
There's
it?
so much in the movie that makes no sense for it to be in the movie. As far as like a lot of their like costumes and stuff are just they're costumes to be costumes. They're not functional for the most part. Carrie-Anne Moss doesn't need to wear tight leather around, and
it's stylized because they're in the Matrix.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, and then you know what aggravates me even more after like this movie's been out and everything is that idiots think that this stuff is real and stuff like that. Just stop. I hate this movie so much.
Who thinks it's real? Why?
Right,
there are people all the time.
You haven't really given any reasons why it's not good. You just said that you don't think the costumes are believable.
I don't like the story.
And that people think it's
Laurence
real.
Fishburne's terrible in this movie. I think he's terrible in everything but Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh my gosh.
I can't stand him. I think you know what's sad? Keanu Reeves was the best actor in this movie. Hugo Weaving is awful. I can't stand looking at his face. I can't stand his accent in this movie.
I'm not even watching the same movie.
Everything.
That you're watching.
Everything. And the other two agents are terrible. They're terrible.
They're not even
awful.
Characters.
They're literally designed to not be like.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
to be like
the
stoic
acting is
nobodies.
The acting is bad. There's so many shots in this movie. They're just like Zack Snyder does. Just hey, that's cool, man. And it's just garbage. It's just there's like shots that are just thrown away, like when he's shooting from the helicopter, and then he's like, "We got to see all the shells fall," and it's just like
So what? What is?
I can't remember half the stuff. Like honestly, this movie.
You don't have to have every single shot in a movie be like story centric. They're just
if it doesn't push the
like
story forward, there's no point in having it in the movie. And half this movie doesn't push the story forward. There's a bunch of action in this movie that doesn't push the story forward. So it's just a bad movie to me. It's not my jam. It's not my style of movie at all. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, we know. It's a good movie. So we understand.
No. Yeah.
We understand completely.
But I mean, you guys picked this movie like, we're gonna get out and watch it. And I tried. I went into this movie like, all right, I'm gonna open my mind.
I'm totally not expecting you to like it. I was looking forward to this conversation, but I don't get the give me a logical criticism.
I've just made a bunch. This movie
the bullet shell scene.
I'm just saying that's one example of what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm just talking about. I'm trying to remember stuff from this movie because it's so forgetful. That's a big part of a bad movie. Like, it's forgetful for me. I don't care what they say. I don't care about the characters. I don't care if they get stuck in the Matrix. I don't care if they get in the Matrix. I don't care if they stick a plug in the back of their head. I don't care if they stick it in their eye. I don't care. I don't care anything about any of this because I don't believe.
What about that shot?
You don't like the concept of an artificial program that people are living in that have been basically controlled for hundreds of years by an AI, and a group of them managed to escape and are fighting this resistance. Like you'd think that that's dumb.
I think that this version of that's dumb.
Okay.
Because Brandon's gonna be like, oh, there's a movie like this that you do like. And so I think that this version of that's dumb. I just don't like this movie.
Say that. I was just saying
I don't like.
To see if you just don't like the story.
Huh?
You're always so much about storylines that are original, and this is
but
incredibly original.
Yeah, but it has to be executed well, and I just don't think it was executed well. And I honestly think Wachowskis. I'm saying that right. Wachowskis. I think they got lucky one time because everything else they've made is trash, and I think most of the people agree with me on that.
I don't think that has anything to do with The Matrix.
But I'm just saying, like,
this movie is still this movie.
Okay, so answer me this because I don't know.
Apparently, they didn't get lucky because you think this movie's trash.
No. I'm saying as far as like people that like The Matrix. Okay, so the people that like The Matrix weren't. I'm because I haven't seen any of the other ones because I mean, why would I? So there's two more, right?
Correct.
And then there's like a cartoon or something, right?
Yeah, Animatrix. Yeah.
So people didn't like the other two, right? Like the people that like yourselves that like The Matrix. For the majority of people,
they're definitely don't come close to the
right.
They kind of fall in the same ballpark as like the Star Wars prequels for a lot of people. Like most people just don't talk about them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So but no, I know everybody's gonna hate me for this, and trust me, I've had people since this movie came out, I am in the minority of not liking this movie, and it's not like I don't like it because I don't want to like it. I went in to that movie theater hoping I would like it. Thought I would like it.
I'm not knocking you for not liking it. I just want to know, like,
I just
want to know more about why you don't like it.
I don't relate to it.
What is it about it?
I don't relate to it.
I don't relate to it either.
I'm just saying I don't relate to it. I didn't care about the characters. Thought the characters were all throwaway characters. I didn't care about Neo as much as I like Keanu Reeves going into this movie. You know what I mean? I thought he was the best part of the movie. I'll put it that way. I still think Keanu Reeves is an actor superstar, so he's going to jump on the screen. I think there is a big problem with Laurence Fishburne. I don't like the guy. I saw him in person do some terrible stuff. Not terrible stuff. I don't want to say like he stabbed anybody or anything. I saw him do some stuff that I thought
you heard it here
like
first, people.
Some of the rudest things I've ever seen in person. But that was after I saw The Matrix. That was 2 years later, and so it's just one of those things. Like I was a big Pee-wee's Playhouse fan,
movie,
and
though?
I loved him in that, but I didn't know who he was. Anyway, and then
I mean, that's
the
different.
movie. The movie itself, Carrie-Anne Moss was good in parts. She was all right.
I think this was Carrie-Anne Moss's first movie.
Might have been.
Was it
I liked
really?
her. I liked her in Memento.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, it's a technically sound movie. I'll say that. It's not like they have, like, you know, it's not like they have bad cinematography. It's just I think some of their cinematography is wasted. I think that I don't know.
Do you really hate like visual spectacle movies, just in general?
For the most part, yeah.
Because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, for the most part.
It's weird that you like Star Wars, the original.
Because
Star Wars.
it's hard for me to believe it. I can see the seams, like in this movie. I'll tell you what I can. All right, I'm thinking about it now. I can tell you exactly what took me out of the movie the first viewing. I could tell everybody was on strings, and it was just like watching a musical. Anytime I watch a musical and somebody starts singing, it takes me right out of the movie. I'm like,
well,
oh,
I mean,
God.
the fighting style is obviously very inspired by like kung fu films and the wire work and that kind of thing. I mean, but I mean, I understand if people don't like that. It's not my favorite style of action either, but to me, it kind of leans itself to this because you're dealing with the
idea
kind
of
of
like
a world that is not based on real rules.
Well, you're
and
uploading
you're breaking
things
the
to your
rules.
mind.
but
like,
I understand the not being like they're not constituted to the same rules of how gravity and world works here. I get that, but it just looked like it was uncanny valley for me the whole time. It was just weird, and and it's not just this movie, it's every movie where they use strings or ropes, and that thing where everybody started emulating, you know what I mean, ropes, whatever. I'm a big puppet guy, Brandon. The major shot where everybody loves it, where he bends backwards and the bullets are going around him and stuff like that. I didn't even like
the
that.
rooftop you're talking about.
The shot where everybody tried to emulate it in every movie for about 6 years after this movie, and still to this day some. Yeah. I didn't find that entertaining. I could tell that I couldn't tell how they did. I didn't know that they had 400 cameras around or whatever. Blah blah.
I mean, I don't think I watched this movie and I'm like, that doesn't look like. I give it. It's with this movie. It's like looking at like older movies. Like this came out in 1999. Like I'm able to like.
Yeah, I mean the CGI in this movie definitely doesn't hold up in the standards to me, but the practical stuff
holds
does.
Up well.
You can always see where
for
the
its age
are.
I that's the thing though. In the theater, I remember that was one of our conversations. So after the movie theater, we went to a 24-hour Krispy Kreme, grabbed a donut, and chatted about this movie. I remember it like it was yesterday. And
what kind of donut was it?
Chocolate icing. So
he hesitated. I don't know.
So anyway, sat there and chatted about this movie, and I'm pretty sure Alan we were both like, man, like we could tell the ropes and stuff like that, and that was the big thing we talked about. Then we also talked about just how choppy the acting was here and there. And like I said, I was a teenager. It was 2 years before this. I was getting into independent cinema in Alabama. So weren't too many people like, hey, I want to go see that independent film. Weren't any places to go see independent films. I had a video store down the street from me where I could walk in and rent whatever movie I wanted to. My mom just had a tab there. So I went in and grabbed movies, and I would go in and grab a stack of movies and watch them on a rainy day. So I started finding stuff that I liked. And I like movies that, I don't want to say all of them have to be based in reality, because I like a lot of stuff that's not based in reality, but or at least grounded in reality. But so this movie just was just.
I can concede the technical thing to you with the strings, or like if that's just something that you pick up on. Like I get that. Sometimes you watch stuff and you're like,
yeah, musicals do it to me too. Anytime somebody starts singing about forks and stuff, I can't do it.
The story of this is where I'm like, it's like as creative as it gets.
It's not though. It felt like a 10th grader wrote this story. It felt like a 10th grade writing assignment to me. It just felt like oh yeah, we're not really here. Somebody's controlling us all.
Well, I'm going to talk about some things that I liked about it, because I'm getting tired of you just trashing on it. So
this is what y'all wanted me. Y'all wanted me to watch it.
I wanted to watch it, and I wanted to talk about it, so that's what I'm going to do. So I think that, like Ryan was saying, I think that the story is absolutely very like original, and as far as like the idea, the juxtaposition of these two different worlds that you're bouncing back and forth in this digital world, and it's so like, especially today, it's so relative with how like reliant we have become to devices, and how like plausible this type of scenario could become one day. I'm not saying that machines will take us over and start harvesting us and that kind of thing.
It's the concept of technology controlling you.
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk even says that we're already tethered to our devices in a way, and that we're kind of symbiotic in that way. I agree with him. I mean, as far as like how like we can't, be by ourselves for a minute without picking up our phone and like checking Twitter or whatever.
Sure.
Like, we've gotten so accustomed to that, and if we don't have it, we freak out. We have like phantom vibrates in our pants and stuff whenever we think our phone's vibrating, it's not, or we get a text and that kind of thing. But anyway, I think that they're definitely, even more so today, it's more relevant than it was in '99. But I just think that like I love the whole kind of like it kind of just like immediately the first scene just kind of throws you in the the Matrix scenario with Trinity. You got the agents there.
Right.
It doesn't really explain anything. It just kind of hits the ground running, and
Right.
and it's like the whole, and you don't like the whole like her getting the phone booth, and
You're kind of getting tossed back and forth between those two worlds, tied like kind of by the characters, in the sense like you see Trinity like out on the bike in Keanu's regular life, but she's obviously not living in, like, she's in the Matrix, but he's not freed. So like, I don't know, you're like being like, is this normal? But then you see her doing all of her crazy stuff at the beginning of the movie, and like they're interrogating him, and they put the little worm thing.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to piece together like what's real and what's not, and then like Morpheus has that conversation with him where like all of that is clarified, and like you look back on the movie preceding, or you rewatch, and you're like, oh, okay, like this is one where I remember rewatching it and being like, it was almost like a different movie when I rewatched it, just because of all the stuff I picked up on knowing the context.
Yeah, it's, and like everything from like the visual style to like how they like the whole red pill, blue pill stuff,
Right?
Especially like that. There's that very like iconic scene with like him like offering the pills. One, you got one reflection in one of his lenses of his glasses, and one in the other. The duality between that, and like the red pill, blue pill has become such a like just a big like meme, or kind of taking a life of its own today, with people like waking up to certain things, and but yeah, even politically they've used it in campaigns. But to the director's dismay.
Yeah.
But the and like the sound design is so great in this movie. It's like, and like I said, that's my first introduction to this movie, was like they were using it as a selling tool for like Bose, like surround sound. Surround sound was a thing because of this movie.
That's funny, because now that I think about it, I do remember when I bought this movie, my dad had like was just putting together like our first actual like surround sound system, like
right?
Bose speakers, and like this was like the tester movie we put in, where like you sit down in your home for the first time and you listen to like 5.1, and you're like, oh man.
Fast forward straight to that bullet time. That bullet just went this way. It's like,
I heard it over here.
That was like that. I mean, it was, I can't tell you how many like showrooms I went to when my dad was shopping, and every one of them had this DVD and was like showcasing when he bought his surround sound. But yeah, I mean, like even like,
what do you think?
The set design, like the Nebuchadnezzar is such a really cool like set.
Yeah.
The harvesting fields, like when you get introduced to what that whole thing is about, like Neo wakes up in the like harvesting field. He's like kind of emaciated, and he's in that like goose stuff, and then the little sentinel comes down, or not sentinel, but whatever it is, the robot comes down, unhooks him, and it's that whole like design. Everything's like very Geiger looking, almost alien. Like it looks like a Tool video.
They do. Yeah, that is true. It's funny. They do a great job with like the scale of everything too. Like considering basically the whole machine world is digital. Like the shots of like the Nebuchadnezzar landing, and like, I don't know, everything just feels really like unnaturally natural for for something that's just like completely produced.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really get a sense of the real world until Reloaded and Revolutions, really, as far as like Zion and other places. Besides that little like, which the what you see of the real world when when Morpheus is showing Neo is actually, I guess, a digital version of the real world, because he hasn't.
So yeah, I'm talking about like when they see the Sentinels and stuff out in the tunnels.
Yeah. But nah, man.
Are
I mean,
you having fun?
like I love back to the sound design. I just think there's like so much like sound design that like resonated with me. Like when he like takes the pill and he's like starting to turn and he looks at the mirror and then he gets the like glass goop on his hand and then it ends up taking over his whole body and it goes in that moment when it goes like down his throat.
Goes
It's like
digital. Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a like memorable. Like it's like so like tangible, the way it sounds.
Right. They do a lot of that in that movie where like the scene where he's out showing him like where the sky was all scorched, like the thunder cracking and stuff. Like it's just, I don't know, they do a good job of the mixing in it is good as well.
Yeah, there are a few things so I watched this for the first time of the 4K transfer that I haven't been able to watch since I bought it. And they did a different color grading. They kind of loosen up on the very like super green matrix look. They kind of use that less intensively, so to speak. Like they kind of pull out a little more color. Like
so when I watched it on 4K the first time, like when I put it in, I was like, it was like glaring to me, the difference.
Did that just come out?
Like to the point of last year, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Seems like they're doing a lot of 90s movies right now on 4K, 80s and 90s movies on 4K right now. I guess that's where they are on the catalog. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
Please.
I don't know.
No, I just remember it being really like it was to the point where I was like, is there something wrong with my
In what way?
Blu-ray player or something? Do what?
You thought something was wrong with
I just remember like well, I didn't know like if there was something wrong with my Blu-ray player. Like,
well, I mean, if you're so used to
that,
watching it on DVD and Blu-ray, it's definitely like that's the thing. When I first watched The Matrix on Blu-ray was one of the first Blu-rays that I bought, I remember. And
right.
I'd watched the DVD so much. Whenever I started watching it on Blu-ray, I was like, man, I mean, that was like, you buy Blu-ray and it's like so much more detail, whatever. But then watching this new remaster with a completely different color grade, it was like watching, I mean, it sounds kind of hyperbolic a little bit, or maybe a little artsy to say, but it's like watching a new movie almost, because it's that color grading element is a very big part of the movie.
That's what I meant by like thinking if something was wrong. It's like it was just not how I remembered the color being. Like it was like a lot more rich, I guess.
Can I ask you a question about the 4K? Because I've noticed that some movies, I'll use Batman 89 as a reference here. 4K Batman 89, I don't like more than the Blu-ray, because you can see the seams even more, like when the Batwing goes up in front of the moon and stuff like that.
I noticed that with like a lot of those transfers, like even the most glaring one is Star Wars. Every time they do a transfer, you're like, you can see more and more where you're like, oh gosh.
I think you guys even said, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I heard a conversation about Justice League. Oh my God, I was talking about Justice League. And the Whedon cut or whatever y'all call it.
Who's that?
Didn't he kind of like tamper with the colors, and you can see some of the actual seams on the bat suit?
He tampered with everything.
Okay.
But
well,
yes,
I mean,
he changed the entire ending with a different color palette than was intended.
Okay. So anyway, I'm just saying that there are some movies that, because I always hear, I agree, DVD is muddy, blah, blah, blah. But there are some movies that I prefer to have on DVD that are just so old that it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense for me to get like this crazy, unless they take a lot of care with it. And that's why I do like the art house, like the boutique house people that release, because they take such good care of it and stuff. It makes sense to go out and buy those, because they kind of hide the seams and things of that nature. So like there's some old black and whites that you just don't need to go get a 4K version of, unless they're, because some of them just dump it onto a new disc and put 4K on it and say, hey, it's a new.
I think this was, I know what you're talking about. I think this was one where they put a little bit more TLC into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's there is you know how like Criterion does like this was mastered at yada yada yada, like they did that for this one.
I do know how they did that.
Yeah. So to be specific, I'll read it to you. The Wachowskis have entrusted the creation of the HDR mastering with original director of photography Bill Pope. Working with Bill, I have come to realize that he has a full understanding and appreciation for the dynamics of the HDR format. Matrix is created in two worlds, the real world in cool blue tones and the data world in ever-present green. Now with HDR, the film can be viewed in its futuristic and data-centric realm more accurately than previous formats would allow. Yada, yada, yada. And then it goes on like more specifics as far as how it differs from the theatrical release, because the HDR format wasn't there whenever they put it out on DVD and theatrical and that kind of thing. And so now they were able to get more variance in color instead of it just being like basically like a green filter over the Matrix.
Right.
They were able to pull that back and actually have it a
The
little
old
more
saran
subtle.
wrap.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that, because so this is still released through Warner Brothers, what you're talking about, right? It wasn't like released through a specialty like a boutique or anything, right? The 4K transfer.
Right.
Yep.
So more and more of the studios are realizing that people will buy the tender loving care, the TLC versions of these movies. You know, they'll buy the Criterion version, or they'll buy the Shout Factor, or whatever the case is. And so now, I think Paramount's like one of the first ones. They released a big box set, and they're like going in and restoring and really taking care of their movies. And but there's a lot of, if all the major studios I think are doing this, so it is something to look forward to, being that we all like physical media. So I find that pretty interesting. So maybe this was one of the first of that class.
That's kind of been my whole MO right now for whenever I decide to buy a 4K version of a Blu-ray. I read the Blu-ray.com review and kind of look to see if it is a new master, because if it's just upscaled from the 2K intermediate, then it's just like, what's the point? I'll just keep my Blu-ray that I have. If they're not going to actually take the time to do a new transfer, you're not gaining anything by buying a 4K copy. You're essentially just getting a 4K upscale.
Paying extra for a Blu-ray.
Speaking of which, you want my Suicide Squad copy?
No, I'm good.
Hey, anybody that gets us 5 new follows gets a Suicide Squad copy. Ryan does not
by
want.
CiNEMACHiNE.
We'll even let the dog lick it or something. So
You know, I remember giving you crap for buying that on 4K as well when you got it. I was like, really? And you paid retail for it, if I recall. I was like,
you did? You didn't get that like Black Friday special? Or
no,
anything?
you paid
Look,
retail.
man,
You hate money.
when in the heat of BVS, like I was just give me it all.
I want to say that was the last. I think that was the last like quasi Batman movie, if you want to call it that, in that realm, DC comic movie that I was allowed to go see with Brandon. So I think that was the cut.
Hey, I didn't like it either. I know
you
why.
didn't, but
I didn't ban you after that movie.
No, I'm not saying that was the movie that got me banned. I'm saying that I think that was like.
That being said, me and Brandon saw it together twice.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm banned from seeing DC movies with Brandon, so
Yeah.
for good reason. So,
It's for the best. And apparently the Matrix going forward.
It's for the good of your marriage.
We're not going to see Matrix 4 together, Al. I'm going to tell you right now.
oh man, I'm so tired of universes. And
I'm
stuff.
going to make sure that I'm at Al's at the screening. I'm going to bring a bunch of bros in baseball caps with me.
What do you think about the soundtrack to this movie, Al? You got a lot of Rob Zombie.
Oh, hang on. I'm glad you brought up the soundtrack. I want to talk about the score for a minute. If that's okay.
Okay.
The score is all over the place. It's not good. And the guy that wrote the score, I looked it up. I actually did look that up while I was watching the movie the other day. He had, I don't know, he kind of, what was his name? Don Davis. First off, most generic name. I mean, if he could have been John Smith. I think that'd be the only other. But
Score doesn't even like.
I
don't know. I guess it just doesn't stand out.
Well,
to me.
the thing
Like,
is,
I can't even remember. Like,
I kind of, I don't know. I guess I'm weird. I don't know, but I listen for scores. I like scores, so I listen to them all the time without the movie and stuff. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do, but something about this score, it was just all over the place.
what's a score?
It's in baseball when they score runs.
Brandon, shut it down.
He did all of the
You're
Matrix.
just coming off stupid.
Yeah, I
He
know.
did all of the Matrix movies, but he also did. I mean, all the movies that I guess he's a friend or something of the Wachowskis, maybe, because he did Bound, which is the movie they did before this, and then he did Ballistic, and not their movie, and it just all the movies kind of fell in place. But here is the cherry on top of the crap sundae that is the score. He did Jurassic Park 3. So I think he got what he deserved. So
I mean, I don't remember it besides like the
but
pulls
anyway,
from
the
John
soundtrack
Williams.
I
yeah.
was laughing at the "he got what he deserved" comment.
So
Been watching Joker lately, huh?
oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just I mean, it's just funny. He's done 45 plus movies, and it's just they're all over the place. So I mean, hey, maybe he has like this crazy diverse background.
I don't really remember much from as far as the score besides like the opening, like couple notes that it hits at the
I
beginning.
think the only thing that I guess I remember notes, but like the sound design was what stood out.
I feel like
more to me.
I feel like there's more like techno music than score, and maybe that is the score. I don't know, but it felt like it was like.
Like I don't know, when I think of any of the music and like, I even just think of like Dracula before I think of any like score.
Dracula and Rage, Wake Up at the end.
Yeah.
That Wake Up placement was like, I don't know. I wasn't like at this point in my life. I wasn't super. I don't even know if I knew who Rage was at the time. So
Were you still doing the Christian rock?
I
thing?
didn't know.
probably.
I definitely didn't know. who
But
they were
that
at the time,
that
but I
song
would still watch
itself,
rock music.
that is Wake Up is. I always associate Wake Up with The Matrix.
Same.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I mean, I had already seen Rage in concert. I was my mom dropped me off at a
You're
Rage
so
concert with
old now.
some of my friends. And after the show, we're sitting on the curb. We're the last kids there. It was at a little bitty place in Pensacola, Florida, called the Bayfront Auditorium. Held about 1,500 people, maybe. And Stanford Prison Experiment and Rage Against the Machine that night. And we're sitting there on the curb. We're like, oh, we saw Rage. And we're all sweaty from the pit and everything. And we hear, hey, guys, you got a ride? And we turn around. It's Tom Morello. And he's like hanging out with us. And he had a Cubs hat on. And he was just like in shorts and
I'm a
t-shirt.
Cubs fan too.
Yeah, and I started talking to him about the Cubs, and I don't know. My mom drove up maybe like 3 minutes after we started chatting, and I was like, "Mom, go what?" I was trying to be cool. No, that's not my mom. I don't know who she's calling.
Yeah.
I'm not Al.
It was crazy lady.
So luckily, my mom went to go see a movie with her friend, and dropped us off, and the movie went long, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so I like to tell people that for a short period of time in my life, about 5 minutes, Tom Morello babysat me. I like to tell people that. So, and Zach De La Rocca was sitting off to the side eating a plum. That's all and we talked about that plum for about 3.5 hours that night. We dude, you see him eating the plum? Yeah, I saw him eating the plum. It was the stupidest thing. But anyway, back to the soundtrack. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the songs on the soundtrack. This is where I lost.
I don't know.
So I was a White Zombie and the first little bit of Rob Zombie. Didn't like the Prodigy, but yeah, I mean Rage Against the Machine stuff. But it just kind of felt like they kind of threw all this together to get into the same.
I mean, as far as like
wearing black.
drops in the movie, the main ones would be Dracula.
Oh,
and
your
Wake Up.
Was Dracula in the movie?
Crooked right now.
Yeah, Dracula is in the club whenever Trinity goes to find Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I watched the movie and I can't remember most of it. But no, Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I probably owned. Yes, kids. There used to be a thing called CDs. I probably owned all these. I owned Deftones for sure. Rage. Rammstein. Probably Rob Zombie. Not Marilyn Manson. Ministry. Yeah. So Propeller Heads.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, I probably thought that probably got me in the theater, to be honest with you. And it was on the Maverick label, which was Madonna's label, which they had Candlebox and they had Deftones. And that's how I learned of the Deftones as their first album was coming out, because I was a...
He's filibustering again, right?
No, I love Madonna. So, anyway.
And then in 1993,
So anyway, on the wrap up, so we'll be talking about. So no, well, you shouldn't ever get me talking about music, for crying out loud. Anyway, no,
you brought it up.
no, Brandon asked me about the soundtrack.
I'm just messing with you.
I just figured it might be something I could get you to say was good. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, hey, if anybody's out there and hasn't listened to the Deftones' first 3 albums, go for it. They're really
Agreed.
good. So, and
Vouched.
Noted. So, yeah. The Matrix.
it worked. It worked. Victory
I don't
is
know.
mine.
We were talking. Well, I wanted to say.
You know, Al, I hate the Matrix now.
After watching it again, we were talking about rewatching, like with the new transfer and stuff. I know that Ryan, I think you said that you didn't feel this way, but I do feel like the CG doesn't hold up as well as it used to. For me, I still like a lot of the practical stuff. I mean, all the practical stuff, obviously, practical holds up usually, but the more realistic CG gets, the more the like newer early CGI, you can see the flaws.
So, yeah, I mean, when I say that, like I kind of say with a lot of movies that came out years ago, like I try and look at it through the lens of the time frame that it came out in.
Some is
but
stronger
at the same
than others,
time,
but
so like this movie, like leaps and bounds, the CG holds up better than the following 2 movies. Like
I haven't seen
not
the
even
second,
close.
the two.
If you
watch,
watch second and third, you would be. It's so bad.
Well, it's
The
probably
CG
because
is so
they
bad.
fell into that trap that all these directors fell into, which is let's just do it in CG and let's don't do any practical stuff.
Wasn't this around the same
mean,
time
either-
that the
well,
new Star Wars,
even
the
if it-
prequels were coming out?
It would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably
episode 1
right.
came out in '99.
Yeah.
So,
That's probably right.
Yeah, makes
but
sense.
like, I mean, like the like melting of the mouth when Neo like starts, he can't speak anymore. Like that little like effect like doesn't hold up as well. But then there's
Well,
like
yeah,
the
I
practical
mean-
effect when he has the actual prosthetic on his mouth that looks great. The like the Sentinels don't like the lighting and shading and stuff on the Sentinels. They look like they're just like
that
sitting
one was
on top
one
of
that I watched the other day. When I watched it the other day, I was surprised how well it held up, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Actually, the Sentinels.
Yeah.
But the mouth thing, yeah, I agree with you.
I'm not going to hold CG against a movie that was around when the technology wasn't around, personally. So that's not something that's hanging me up.
Why don't you guys stop hating on the Matrix?
I said I'm not going to hold it against.
No, I said, why don't you get... Never mind.
I didn't hear what you said. So, just like the Matrix, I don't pay attention. So, but so I mean, there's plenty of movies that I
Well,
like where
I was
the
just gonna
Thing
say,
that we talked about and stuff.
they're because like the CGI mouth go into the practical, like they don't mesh as well, is what I'm saying.
I
Like
agree.
like the bug, when they put the bug in his stomach,
Yeah.
you can tell when it's CG, and then when it switches to the one that's like flip flopping in his belly, like the practical one, like the two don't match, is what I'm saying. Is like
Right.
that you can, those are more glaring now than they were when I watched it on DVD on my like CRT, when I was
Right.
living at home.
I think that goes back into what we were talking about, the seeing the seams for the higher res releases and things like that. So, but one thing, the one piece of CG that I won't say is unforgivable, but that takes that just like I was like,
What's not unforgivable about this movie? You know,
I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that whenever what's Hugo Weaving's name in the movie?
Smith.
That character.
Agent Smith.
Or it was I don't even know if it was him. It was one of those agents. Whenever he's like trying to like all around, it looks like there's multiple of them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That looks so campy. Like it was just like, oh boy. Like it just kind of made you realize like back in 99 or 98 or 97 when they made this movie, whenever it was, they just didn't have the technology. I'm not saying that's a blemish against the movie. What I am saying is it's just kind of funny how far we've come in the 21 years.
In all fact, like it could just be a nostalgia thing for me where like that stuff, it just it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers others. Like
it doesn't bother me. I just could see it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, who am I to say? I mean, you guys watch The Thing. I mean, you can see the seams in that movie, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that. Yeah, I mean that scene was also glaring to me. How much it doesn't hold up as much, like the bullet tracking and stuff. Like those effects aren't as like realistic, so to speak, anymore. But I still think it's even at the time, you know, I respect it for what it did at the time, and that it was a feat, especially the way they filmed that whole tracking shot.
So you guys are Matrix fans, so I want to ask you this, because as a non-Matrix fan, I know how it made me feel. But when everybody started doing the move, you know, the Matrix move in all the movies, it was in comedies, it was in TV shows, it was everywhere. It was on award shows, everything. Did that bother you? Were you like, oh, it's the Matrix? Did it eventually get old? What was the case with you guys?
I think I liked it in Kung Pao.
Okay. Well, it's hard not to like that movie. Yeah, that movie's great.
We totally need to review Kung Pao on this podcast. It'd be amazing.
I think we could have Luna on as a special guest. Didn't she watch part of it with us?
Bye-bye. Yeah, I mean, dude, I think I was reading a stat the other day, and I think it's like 20 something movies that spoofed that sequence or aped it, you know, like off the top of my head I'm thinking like Shrek, the first one, Charlie's Angels did it,
that might be the
G
biggest
one.
sin.
And I'm sure there are others, like probably some like Scary Movie. Oh, Scary Movie did it. Scary Movie 2 or one of the Scary Movie movies. Maybe movies. But yeah, I mean, it definitely it's one of those things where I know it's like after Zack Snyder hit with 300, a lot of movies started, you know, trying to ape that.
Going to the gym.
Yep. Working out. So yeah, it definitely became a thing. But that's just Hollywood. Anytime something hits, like they have to mimic it.
Yeah, it didn't. Any of the comedy stuff or pop culture stuff, it didn't bother me at all in regards to that.
I'm reading a stat right now. I just looked it up on IMDb, and it says by the middle of 2002, so 3 years later, 20 movies had already used it.
Yeah, and God only knows how many TV shows and. I'll be honest with you. I can't remember what it was, but I saw it. I saw it in something 1.5 years ago, something like that, and I was just like, "Oh, really? Seriously? Like, get a new joke?" You know, like it's like just so. But I mean, that's not something to be held against the Matrix. I'm asking because you are a Matrix fan, and I know that it was like eye rolling how many people didn't have an original idea after they did this, you know. So it's just
I wouldn't say I was offended by it, but
I'm not offended, but you know, just get an idea. Anyway, all right, guys. So, anything else to say about this movie, Matrix?
I mean, I just, you know, I think that there's a lot of inventive stuff. Obviously, they pioneered some new tech with this movie. I like I made a note. This is the note that I have written down for a shot that I liked. I'm just going to read it verbatim.
It was
I'm
good.
gonna read this verbatim. Inside the wall vertical shot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Where they're trying to get away.
They're
and people
scaling, hiding from the
yeah,
agents
in the apartment
Everything's
or whatever.
masked out black, and you can just see the inside the wall. Yeah,
They're in the wall.
That's a cool shot. I thought it was a cool shot.
Yep.
Yeah, inside the wall vertical shot, guys. Good, very good.
That's another one of those shots that's been aped. Is when Batman and Robin used to walk up the side of the building back in the '60s TV show. That's one of those things that people still mimic today. So I'm sure the Matrix thing will still be mimicked down the road.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're still a podcast, so that's our review of the Matrix. And
that's it.
It is.
Nobody hates each other.
Who's buying and shipping and twisting?
I don't think we even need to ask Ryan. What are you gonna do about this movie?
You should buy it on DVD, on Blu-ray, and then buy.
Do they sell a nostalgia box set? Comes on VHS, DVD box.
Brian,
Blu-ray.
did you buy the whole trilogy UHD? Yeah. You got it for a gift. I remember. Didn't you get it for Christmas or something?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Well,
I just
Santa
bought the
Claus
single
hates you.
of The Matrix. I didn't buy the other two. But
Do you not like the other two?
I just didn't care to have I only bought this one just for the remaster.
So,
I haven't watched it in 4K. I just watched the Blu-ray that has the same transfer.
They are nowhere near as good as the first one. That's one of those because I was so into the Matrix when it came out, or when I first saw it, and the movies were coming out as I was the Fallout movies were coming out as I was really into the original. I've got a little bit of a sentimental thing with enjoy. It's just one of those nostalgia things where I enjoy watching them, but I'm well aware of the fact that these are not as good of movies as the original.
Yeah, they're okay. But one thing I wanted to say was, did you guys know who was originally supposed to play Neo?
William
Arnold
Smith.
Schwarzenegger.
That's correct. Do you know who was going to play Morpheus?
Will Smith.
Eddie Murphy.
No.
No.
Keanu Reeves.
Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer.
Interesting.
Boy, this movie would have. This movie might have killed me if both those people were in this. Good lord! Oh my god, my hatred
You
for
don't
Will
like
Smith
Val Kilmer?
I like him pre-Batman stuff.
Not Batman Forever fan.
I mean, this would have been 99. What was that The Doors? When did The Doors come out?
Yeah,
This would have been when Val Kilmer was hot. Tombstone.
I mean, he was skinny. I don't know if he was hot.
He was hot, dude. Real hot.
Anyway,
it's interesting.
When he got fat, I'm sure
it's
he was
interesting
hot.
knowing that that was the case. And
Sure.
Will Smith has even been on record saying that he wasn't. He said that he wasn't at the point in his career at the time to have been able to do this movie, and he thinks that. I mean, he's probably just saying this for Hollywood speak, but he says that Keanu was the right person for this.
Well, if Val Kilmer were in this movie at that time, he was one of the most difficult people to work with in Hollywood at the time. I don't know if he is now. I've heard he's kind of calmed down because he got a dose of reality.
Yeah.
But, might have gotten
you
it off
also
track.
hear the same. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but you also kind of hear the same things about Laurence Fishburne being difficult to work with.
Dude, I'm telling you. I'll tell you guys later what he did.
But I mean,
It was
it's one of those things where I imagine just like Bruce Willis is, depending on who he works with, it's like Rian Johnson loved working with him on Looper, and Kevin Smith said that it's like the sun and the moon. He's like, it depends on who it is, what kind of what you get out of Bruce. But anyway,
yeah,
that's here nor there. The Matrix.
Brandon. Buy, ship, sell.
I would say, I mean, obviously, you buy this movie. You already own this movie, guys. Everybody but Al owns this, and you're lucky to have it in your collection because it's great.
Know what I'm getting Al for Christmas?
Used copy of
Suicide
Squad. You're gonna give me Killing of a Sacred Deer, but when I open it, it's the disc of the Matrix.
Yes. That'd be amazing.
So that I'll hate Killing of a Sacred Deer. If you like this kind of movie, go out and buy it. I mean, obviously, people that like it love it. I've heard few people in the time that it's been out and everything, the 21 years that it's been around. I am in the minority, so I understand.
Alan.
And
Moving on there.
My uncle doesn't like this movie either.
Good
It was a great bonding time when we both realized we didn't like this movie 2 years later. So I can't suggest that you buy this movie, but I can say to take these guys' suggestion if you like this kind of movie. So
It's admirable.
I'm gonna, So anyway, all right. So that's our review of The Matrix. What are we going to be watching next week? We're still doing the 90s November throwback Shamalama Ding Dong Sweet Mama Pie festival.
I'm not making that graphic.
I would love that graphic. So Brandon? We're doing the action movies.
Yes, we're doing action. So this week, since we're doing action, I want to nominate Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Oh, sounds like an
What
original
a surprise.
pick. Sounds like an original pick.
Yep.
All right.
That is my nomination.
Ryan, what is your
If it
pick?
doesn't win, you're not allowed to pick that for drama.
There's some pretty... When he says hasta la vista, baby.
Oh, he means it.
Yep.
I feel it.
I am gonna, Al, and pick Mission Impossible, the original. Not original, the Tom Cruise original.
So we might not be a podcast for very long. I hate Tom Cruise.
That's
shouldn't
an
say
interesting
that.
one. I don't know if I've seen all of that one.
So hang on. I want to say this. I saw you guys calling me out in the comments and everything.
Which one? I do it every week.
No, not you guys. I'm talking about the people at home. I saw you guys calling me out in the comment section.
That's right.
I see what you guys are trying to do. Just trying to make me not be able to enjoy movie time. So I've got a list of 4 movies here, and I don't know which one to say. So I'm going to say my initial.
The one you were going to surprise us with?
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear it, Al.
Batman Returns.
Oh.
Solid pick. Yes.
Okay. Wow. You actually
Al's on the
surprised me,
board.
Al. You actually
might have a
surprised me.
chance this week.
Yeah.
I have won twice, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice. I want to vote for Al on this one. Pretty excited about it.
See? Told
That's
you
a good
I'd
pick.
surprise
I don't know why. I
It's
don't
good.
know why I didn't think of that.
Listen, I might vote for it too. It's getting close to Christmas. Batman Returns, Christmas movie.
Brandon's like, and
It's
I
a
just
great-
rationalized that I can suggest Terminator 2 next week.
It's one of those movies, kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas. You can transition from Halloween to Christmas very easily with this and Nightmare Before Christmas. So I think it's a good pick. So there we go, everybody. Ryan, you want to let everybody know how they can vote?
Yep. If you're on YouTube, you can comment in the comments with your vote. On
Go out,
social on social, on Instagram at CiNEMACHiNE Pod. We are on Twitter as well and on Facebook. So let us know.
All right, guys and gals, thanks for tuning in. We are going to see you on the other side of the wrap, where we do movie news. Well, Brandon gives us movie news, and we chit-chat about what we've been watching and give suggestions of things that we think you guys might be interested in. So we will see you in just a few minutes. All right, so welcome to the wrap-up. This is where Brandon's going to tell us some movie news. Brandon, take it away.
So we didn't do a news segment last week, so we have some kind of spillover news from the previous week. And honestly, from our last episode to today, there's not been really anything. Everything's been election, so we're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about No Time to Die, the next installment of the James Bond franchise. So the news that broke about that is that Variety reported that I guess Sony or MGM, who I think Sony and MGM both kind of own the rights to this, but MGM I guess is the initial rights holder. They apparently were in talks with a few digital streamers. I think Apple and Netflix were two of the major ones. Basically, they were looking, kind of testing the waters to see if there was maybe an outlet for them to push it out on streaming. And the figure that was at least the asking price was $600 million for the purchase.
Good luck
to have those
with
rights.
What was the budget of this movie? Like $250 or something?
Yep, $250.
Whoa.
That had to have been an amazing meeting.
Look at me.
$250 million.
We're thinking like $600 million. All right.
I mean,
good
if you
meeting.
think about, I guess they're just wanting for them as a studio, because I don't know if they would have any back end deals with the streaming stuff. Maybe this was just an outright. They're buying it for $600 million, and that's it. That's all they get, and then the streaming service would get what they get, as far as subscription revenue and whatnot. But $600 million for them to have a James Bond movie exclusive. I mean, it's a lot of money, but you think as far as the I guess the reasoning behind MGM having that as their asking price. Obviously, that's just what they're wanting to recoup if they're skipping the theatrical model, and then
right.
just I mean, the most recent sale that we've seen, what was it? Coming to America 2 was like $125 million. So,
but that's like $600 million is like I want to recoup at like worldwide box office.
Yeah,
in one sell.
Yeah.
It's just
but
like,
I mean, that's just like it seems like that was like, okay, sure, we're just we're making this like asking price that we don't think that they'll bite, but if they did, they'd be like, okay, well, then they I imagine they didn't expect to get that, but yeah. So anyway, that fell through, but there were talks apparently.
It's interesting that they are talking at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that every studio has at least entertained it. We've talked about a lot of that lately.
I'm sure people are kicking tires for sure. Yeah.
I know Christopher Nolan was doing an interview this week, and he had said that he was
like, buy it.
Well, he was just talking about
a Christopher Nolan film.
He's hoping that studios aren't looking at the performance of Tenet in the wrong light in terms of he wants them to see that considering what's going on and how well it performed under the circumstances internationally, that they need to continue to push stuff out to the market to sustain the market, to keep the market an actual market.
He also made a point to say that we're coming off 2019 was like a ridiculous year for movies. Like the amount of money that was made in theaters in 2019 was absolutely absurd. So it's kind of a, you're coming off like as hot as it's hot, and then coronavirus hit and you're as low, so you gotta like try and look at it. Yeah,
it's definitely not apples to apples. So, but
pun intended.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean that's really it for the James Bond thing. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add to that? No? Okay.
James Bond's a moneymaker. It's going to make money either way. I just
want to see it. I've got a poster in my living room that I keep adjusting the date for.
You're adjusting. You're right. Sharpieing it on the poster.
I was making a joke. Yes, that was the joke, Brandon.
You have a little okay. It's funny, right?
Just keep going.
Real funny. The other thing that, and this is the last thing on the dock today, the showrunner of Chernobyl, it's either the showrunner or director, I'm not sure which one he is. Helmer is what it says. I don't really know what that means. From Chernobyl, which is a HBO series, limited series that came out last year. I think it was last year. It was either early this year or last year. Is doing a Netflix movie with Adam Sandler, and it's notable because Adam Sandler's obviously already has a relationship with Netflix, but it's Happy Madison stuff. But this, knowing who it's coming from, being the Chernobyl Helmer,
It is the director.
it is director. Well, did he? I mean, it's a series, so I wasn't sure if he just directed a few episodes or the whole thing. But anyway. By the way, that show is amazing if you haven't seen it. I mean, it's harrowing, but just so well done. But yeah, he's doing a project with Sandler called The Spaceman of Bohemia. It's coming to Netflix. And it's interesting because we just talked about Uncut Gems, and this seems to be another project that Sandler's taking on that is more of a serious role, and that based on our review from Uncut Gems, that is exciting. I would imagine for you guys, right? Yes? No?
No, I'm interested in it.
Did you guys see?
If I
Chernobyl?
can't promise I'll have a Netflix.
I was about to say, did you see Uncut Gems?
Did y'all watch Chernobyl?
I did not.
I did not. No.
No, man,
No.
y'all gotta watch that.
God. I'm more of a cinema kind of guy, Brandon.
I like to
kid.
review theme parks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I like Sandler. I mean, we talked about that pretty much ad nauseum. If you want to check out that episode,
Hubie Halloween.
yep. Hubie Halloween. I
Al's
think
favorite.
The Cobbler is his best movie ever. Oh. But yeah, no, I'd be interested in seeing it. But hey, leave it up to Netflix to screw it up.
So this guy that did
Yeah.
that directed those episodes in Chernobyl, that's doing this, he also did episodes for Bloodline, as well
Ooh.
as what was the other one? Breaking Bad.
Bloodline's a good show.
He did Breaking Bad and then Vikings, which I haven't seen, but I do hear good things about Vikings. But yeah,
You didn't
so that's
know.
exciting. Another
Yeah.
Netflix get, in my opinion.
We'll see if I have my subscription by then.
You will, or someone else's.
Yeah.
You'll have it.
You'll give me yours.
I have my parents. But I got my own profile. Yeah, that's it. That's all the news that's
All right.
fit to
Well.
print, as they say.
Thanks, Brandon, for cluing us in of what's going on in the movie world.
Anytime.
We don't know if we'll have news in the future, but we try if they open Hollywood ever. So this week, what have you guys been watching? Brandon, we'll start with you. What's something you've been watching this week?
This weekend, actually, we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas with Luna.
That's a good one.
I was kind of like, I guess, I mean, I know that some people say it's a Halloween movie, some people say it's a Christmas movie.
It's a good transitional, like we were talking about.
Confession.
Yeah.
I've never seen
I
it.
have not seen Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare Before Christmas. Don't tell me anything plot wise because I do want to see it.
Okay. I mean, it's a kid's
Don't
movie. I mean, it's not like
Take the glasses off, Al.
Don't look at me.
the story
Throw it
is
away.
not
Throw it
necessary. I
away.
mean, it's one of those movies that's like I liked it as a kid. It wasn't like one that I returned to a ton. I remember watching this this one, and then James and the Giant Peach, I think, were directed by the same guy. Most people think that Tim Burton directed this. He didn't. He produced it, but
Yeah.
So I haven't seen this
art
one.
directed.
I do remember like weirdly enough, my neighbor growing up really loved this movie.
mhm.
So I remember like coming over to his house and like catching like 5 minutes here and there, and like it was really cool, like feeling that you got watching it, but I just never saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well,
it's on Disney Plus, Ryan. So you can watch
Is it
it.
really?
so
Yeah.
Cool.
it's also playing in the movie theater right now, Ryan.
It's one
And
of those.
I will say
Interesting.
that I saw this at the El Capitan Theater in L.A.
Ugh.
So we talk about, do you want to see Hateful Eight on 70 millimeter?
Mm-hmm.
It was right around Halloween, and they did this really cool production at the El Capitan where they had the velvet curtains and everything, and then they had a guy, an organist or however you want to say that, came up from the floor and was playing all these songs and everything, and then the lights went down and he went down into the floor and the velvet curtain came back. It was a real big experience. It was like I think it was like $20-$30 to go see it, but I went and saw it with my cousins, and it was a really good experience. I mean, it was almost a decade. Oh, well, when did this movie come out? 93. So it was probably 7 or 8 years after this movie came out. So it was, it wasn't like when it first came out is what I'm saying. But I had seen this movie quite a few times. But that experience is what made it really stand out to me. I liked it plenty beforehand, but I liked it so much more after that experience.
I wonder, hearing all of Al's like extremely detailed accounts of watching movies for the first time, like I wonder if he's gonna look back on like when we saw Dunkirk. He's like, I remember when we went up the escalator.
No, honestly, I can't remember that experience. But I mean, but I will say this: if you get a chance to see, anytime that I see a movie, you guys, I don't remember it. Anytime if you get a chance to see this in a movie theater, I highly suggest it. There are places that do sing-alongs and stuff like that. If you like that kind of thing, not my thing, but it is a big
sing-along.
It is a big thing. So.
Yeah. So that was Al's watch of the week. Ryan?
Well, hang on. So you guys watched Addams Family recently, and now you've watched this, so you're kind of going down the 90s quasi Tim Burton nostalgia. So when are y'all going to watch 89 Batman? I'm just trying to get to that.
I mean, I don't know. I've debated on when I'm going to show her those. Like, 89 is not for her. I don't know how approachable it is. I have put on like Batman Returns before, but not in the last year or two. I don't know.
When she was a baby, I used to put her to bed every night to Catwoman. So.
Right. Just the pussy I was looking for.
Oh, that movie. That movie's so good.
Yeah. No, I don't know. But as far as Nightmare Before Christmas is concerned, this was her first time. She had heard the music before because I think they played it at school because it's like Halloween. So they play like theme music at lunch. So she knew a lot of the songs, but she had never seen the movie. But she was really into it. And she actually wanted to watch it again the next day with my cousin or her cousins that came over. But yeah, I mean, it's just like the songs are really great. And obviously the stop animation is really awesome. I mean, it's just
it's quite the feat.
It's got a lot of cool set design and characters are cool, super memorable.
Did she get scared at all?
No.
Yeah, some kids get scared at this movie. My niece and nephew just recently watched this, and they liked it a lot too. My niece is just, I think, a year older than Luna. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think this movie's great. Kind of want to go watch it right now. Danny Elfman did a great job on the music, like you said, but there is a full soundtrack out there where people cover.
Oh yeah, that soundtrack is actually really good. It's got Korn,
Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson's version, I have to admit, as much as I might not be a fan of his version is pretty good.
Yeah, he does. This is Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it is good.
It's
yeah. So I debated on showing that to her right now because I didn't like. it was Halloween, but I was like, Halloween's just the very beginning of the movie, and then it goes to Christmas. So I didn't really know. I was like, well, maybe we should wait and show it like after Thanksgiving or something. But anyway, we ended up watching it this weekend. But yeah, there you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, what's the first thing on your list?
First thing, I don't want to spoil because I want people to watch it, but Ready or Not, and I know you guys have both seen it, right?
I have not.
I've seen it.
Gotcha.
Did you just sniff like
This was
yeah, I saw it. Yeah. yeah. Yeah.
no big deal.
That's right.
Watched it on a school night.
Yeah, it was after bedtime
With a girl. So go ahead. Anyway.
So I watched this on Halloween. This is the first of 2 movies I watched Halloween weekend. And I was just kind of scrolling through HBO Max. It's on HBO Max if you want to watch it. And it's one that I had in my list. I just had not found the time to sit down and watch it. Halloween seemed like a good time. So I popped it on. It's got Samara Weaving in it. I know, Al, you're a fan of her work. Correct?
Yeah, I liked her in the new Bill and Ted. She was good. And I've seen her in one other thing I can't remember right now. But yeah, I do like her.
But it's a
Not her uncle so much.
I didn't so I had not seen any of the trailers or anything. It was just going off the description of the movie. And it's very much a comedy in my opinion, and done tastefully as much as it is a thriller horror type film. So I don't know, it was a fun kind of veg out movie to watch. I know, Brandon, you weren't a huge fan of how it was executed in some ways, but
yeah, I thought it was solid. I thought it was better in concept than execution, but I mean, I wouldn't. It's on. I mean, it's definitely like one of those like disposable, like
Sure.
one watch type movies. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's bad. I just thought it was like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, it was worth watching one time on HBO Max, and I enjoyed it for what
no,
it
I
was
mean
worth.
that's kind of how I view it. It was a good movie to watch on Halloween weekend.
Is it a fast food
it's funny.
movie? Just kind
Do I?
It was squeak. What was it?
I'm still playing with the dog.
Do we have
toy.
a buzzer? Is that our new buzzer for like talked enough?
Brandon, say something.
What were you saying?
So
No.
no, I was gonna ask,
Go
is it kind of like a fast food movie? Like it it might be entertaining, but it's not one that sticks with you.
Yeah.
For me, it would be.
I mean, I have an
It's-
interest in seeing it. I wouldn't say
it's not
because I'm a
something-
big fan or anything, but I like quirky movies.
I
heard
feel
it's
like
pretty
it could have
quirky.
been. I think under a better director, it may have made a better impact. I don't even
I
know who
think-
directed it, but I just felt like it had the ingredients to be like.
But you weren't right. So
I don't know. So maybe you have more context to the movie
well,
going into it. Like
No,
I
I just saw the
literally
trailer
all I
for
had
it.
going on it. Like I didn't even see the trailer. I just like I saw the
there were 2 directors.
cover art and read the description, and
yeah.
so, yeah, I'll try this.
They also directed directed VHS, which was like a cult kind of
Yeah.
classic.
I
Well,
remember that one.
I don't know classic, but it was a cult movie. And Scream 5 coming out in 2022. And then they also did Southbound, which is another movie that kind of got the rounds when it first came out. So there you go.
Yeah.
His name's Matt
No, but-
Bettinelli Open. And second director.
Samara Weaving's good in it. And just expect comedy as much as you expect thriller or horror. But yeah, that was first of my 2. Al, you're up.
Well,
Well,
I had I had 4 movies on my list earlier because I couldn't pick. I thought I would talk about some of the other movies I had on my list, because I think everybody should see these movies. So, first and
We
foremost,
cut it down to 2, right?
first off, I want to say that Last Action Hero is one of the best, like, campy movies I've ever seen. And I think that movie got a bad rap when it came out. That movie is great. I can watch it 10 times in a row and still.
Except for when you're watching it with me, you fall asleep. Because you did. I know this is not like something I'm making up. When I know I say this every week that Al fell asleep. But he did. We watched it. I fell asleep.
Look,
Ryan, have you seen Last Action Hero?
Yeah.
Okay.
when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden a hand with chloroform comes around your face, you're
Oh,
gonna fall asleep. So, no.
believe all gingers, I guess.
Yes. But no, Last Action Hero is fantastic. The poor kid in the movie, he was supposed to be like this next big kid actor, and that movie took him down. Like, it took him down a couple pegs, and I'm not sure if that's what ruined his career or what, but I'm sure he thought, like, man, I'm in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is gonna be great. But Arnold Schwarzenegger got a bunch
Always
of
feel
flack
bad
for
when
it.
that
He
happens.
kind of like, I don't know what he's doing now, but he was like an Eddie
Works at Best
Furlong
Buy.
type, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I like funny Arnold. You know,
Arnold's always funny, in my opinion.
I thought that movie was great. I really like the part where they go in and they see Terminator 2 and it's Sylvester Stallone. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, so funny. And like, I mean, the sound, talk about a good soundtrack. That soundtrack was great. AC/DC, Alice in Chains, so on and so forth. And yeah, I used to have that. I used to have that CD
boom,
right around.
boom. And there's like guitar riff score.
Yeah. But that movie's great. And I forget who I forget who played the daughter. You know, I almost got Commando and this movie mixed up. I was going to say Elisa Milano, but it wasn't Elisa Milano. She was much younger. She wasn't like a grown woman. So anyway, no, I highly suggest anybody and everybody that has not seen Last Action Hero to go out and see it. I don't know if too many females will like Last Action Hero. It's kind of pointed at boys at the time, and being that I was a boy at the time.
You were?
Well, I'm a man now. I'm a man. Anyway, I think that it's a good movie for little boys, like younger guys to see. But if you have a thing, like if you really like Arnold movies, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people passed it up
Agreed.
because it did get such bad reviews, and it is tanked horribly.
That's so. I mean, it's so funny. Like knowing after the fact that it got bad reviews, because I remember seeing this and being like, "This movie is great." Like I can't imagine like
Yeah, right.
it getting bad reviews because I thought it was awesome.
Oh, I wanted to go to a theater to where I got sucked in the movie. I mean, it came out in '93 as well, same year as Nightmare Before Christmas. So, it had a
It's
budget
like
of $85
I can't imagine
million.
people giving The Matrix a bad review. It's like who would do that? It's crazy.
smart people.
Yeah, we've got one
$85
here.
million budget, only made $137 million. So, not the greatest, but it's a Shane Black screenplay. So I mean, you can't. Back then, anyway, you couldn't go wrong. So Shane Black,
Interesting. Not set at Christmas though. Weirdly, he usually has an affinity for that.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, I
would
like I said,
concur with Al. I would also recommend that movie. I love that movie.
I think we should just do an Arnold month of Arnold movies. So it's like,
Brandon will recommend Terminator 2.
that is his killing of a sacred deer.
Yeah, I mean,
One day.
It's his green room.
I was
So-
big into Arnold at that age. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. It's hard to dislike Arnold. Now I will say some of these straight to video movies, so to speak, like Maggie and that one he was in with Johnny Knoxville and stuff like that. Those are not fun to watch, but it's still like, hey, it's Arnold. You know, you still want to tune in for Arnold. So, Brandon, anything else you've been watching this week?
Not this week. I mean, the week before I watched the new Borat movie. I'll touch on that briefly, I guess. I thought it was funny. It was obviously, very intentional as far as when and why it released when it did, for election stuff. But I thought it was, and I spoke whenever they announced the sequel that, I'm on record as saying that I really liked the first one. I haven't returned to it in a while. I don't know how it holds up now, but I did really like it when it came out. And this one was also, the catch with these movies, it's not like the stuff that they kind of fill in, just like when you watch like Johnny Knoxville's like, was it Bad Grandpa or those type of movies when they try and do like the story stuff in between the little like stunts that they pull with the real life people, the Candid Camera stuff, all that stuff's like whatever. But like the funny stuff is watching the real people interact with this outlandish character and watching them do like stuff that you wouldn't, expect real people to do.
Yeah.
And that stuff still lands for me with this new one. So it's on Amazon Prime. If you like the first Borat or Bruno or any of those type of movies, Ali G, then check it out.
Cool. And Ryan, what's the second thing you've been watching?
The second Halloween movie I watched was 90s throwback. 7.
Nice.
You guys both seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love this movie. It's so awesome. Go ahead, Brandon. You feel like you got something to say?
I am going to say something when you finish up about it. I love it too. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Yeah. I showed it to, we had my mom and, her friend came up this weekend for Halloween and they had not seen it. So showed it to them, and my mom's like a huge, like, she loves like any of those like thriller, like serial killer type.
I was
movies.
wondering where that was going.
So this was right up her alley. And there's a couple of scenes in this movie. Obviously the, what's in the box thing's great, but like the scene where, do I?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
The scene where, the guy who had kind of been like emaciated in the bed where he like wakes up.
That's disgusting.
Like, oh my gosh.
Has to wear the device.
Like, yeah.
That's
oh my
like,
gosh.
He's
like
talking about the guy that was chained to the bed, couldn't eat or anything.
Yeah.
They find him where he's almost right door, like death.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That, like like
okay.
that's like one of the biggest like shock moments in any movie that I've ever
still
seen.
alive underneath.
Yeah.
Officer.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's detective.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
No, the scene I thought you were gonna say was where they are like interviewing the guy that he had forced to like rape the other girl, whatever, with the like device, the, stabby device or whatever. That's a like such an that's an instance where like a less is more approach is like so like disturbing because it forces you to imagine what he did with that device. They just show it very briefly. It's like, oh god.
Yep.
So the guy that played that part, the guy that is in that device, he's in a bunch of stuff. He's like a bit actor.
I recognize him.
That's what I think about every time I see him in anything else. He can be in the most family of comedies of all time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, get it off me, man.
Yeah.
Get it off. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Pretty rough.
Brad Pitt kills in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. I love it. Like,
you ever seen? There's videos all over the internet where people talk about how much Brad Pitt eats in movies because he eats a lot in movies.
It's like Tom Cruise running.
Oh boy,
Shia LaBeouf saying no.
Yeah, that's the next one I was gonna go to. No.
Yeah, the Brad Pitt eating thing. I highly suggest people go out and check that out.
So Ryan, Melissa and I returned to this movie. Oh, well, okay. So we had like a 3-hour window. This is like a couple months ago, and I was like, "Oh, let's go watch a movie." Luna was with Melissa's sister, and we had
you were about to
just.
say Luna was with you. I was like, oh my god.
I think we had
we
just
introduced
watched.
her to this. We're not ready to introduce her to 89 Batman, but we got 7
Yeah.
going, you know?
Yeah, it's 7 deadly. It's educational.
It's going to show it to her on her 7th birthday. Yeah.
This is why you don't sin.
Yeah. It's like one of those Arrested Development, and that's why you don't sin.
That's why you don't use one-armed men to teach your children.
Luna's a
lessons.
big fan of Fincher in general. She's
Totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, we
Raising 'em right.
I think we had just watched Zodiac or something. So I was wanting to watch another Fincher thing, and so I was like, let's watch 7. And she was like, have I seen that? I was like,
Oh,
I don't know.
Zodiac's
And I
good,
kind of explained it to her, and she's like, no, I haven't seen that. I was like, all right. So we watch it. We get up to the very last sequence where they're going to where, the box is delivered. She goes, oh, I have seen this. I was like, what? We just watched this whole movie?
at least it was a movie that you like. It's not like
Oh god. Yeah, all the shocking stuff didn't stick out
Yeah.
to her at all.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember how many movies Hollywood tried to make 7 over and like 8mm and all those movies like that. Like they tried for years to make another 7 and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just
The movie's so good.
yeah.
So if you haven't seen it and we've spoiled it for you, watch it anyways.
Yeah. All right, so my last movie I'm going to talk about, I have 2 more on my list, but I'm only going to talk about one of them because, Desperado with Salma Hayek and Antonio Banderas.
Banderas.
This is a Robert Rodriguez movie. This is his follow-up to El Mariachi, and if you've never read the book about Robert Rodriguez making his first movie, I think it's called. I'll find out. Anyway, I read it. I think it's like, Dude, Where's
My Car?
No, Dude, Where's My Car?
Mariachi.
So anyway, he made El Mariachi on like a shoestring budget, like $2,000 something, something like that. And one thing I like about Robert Rodriguez movies is he did for a long time. He did not want to be in this, in any kind of director's guild or anything like that. He just wanted to make guerrilla movies. He wanted to go by his own rules. He didn't want anybody telling him what to do. Rebel Without a Crew is the name of the book. It's a very good book. And it talks about, in the book, how he would actually have medical testing done on him and things like that. Like they would test medicines on him and stuff so he could earn money to make the movie. So the movie was a smash hit. Yeah, it was a smash hit. And, of course, they wanted a sequel to it. So Desperado. And Desperado was a hit as well, and it had Salma Hayek in it. So, I mean, that helped a lot of people to get into the theater. But the movie's very, very good. It's very inventive, the way they went about it. I don't want to give too much away about it. It's about a mariachi guy. They're in Mexico. Kind of like it's almost like a Western, but like of now, of that era. And it was just really good. So, the Tarantino actually makes a cameo in the movie as he tells a joke that's not so pleasant, but you could see, like that's when they were hanging out a lot, and they kind of came up at the same time. So, but I highly suggest it. One thing that is so great about his movies, if you buy Robert Rodriguez movies, is he actually puts a 10-minute film school on each one, and I think it's called like Film Kitchen or something like that. Anyway, and he teaches you like tips and tricks of how to make movies, and like because he used to make all of his movies in his garage, like he would edit all the post production, and like the Spy Kids movies and things like that he would do. He would make those in his neighborhood, and he would just have like his kids and things of that nature, like maybe their friends come over, and then he would hire a couple actors to make them look, good and whatnot. So it's pretty impressive what he's done. I think he's more in the Directors Guild now, but it's very impressive to watch his early movies and to see how much he put on screen for so little budget, So Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I think, rounded out the trilogy of El Mariachi and such, and that wasn't that great. I was really hoping it would be great, but I highly suggest the first two, El Mariachi and Desperado. But
that was one of those. Once Upon a Time in Mexico was one of those like blockbuster cases that always grabbed my attention.
Yeah, it was always on sale for $3.99.
Yeah.
like we've got 400 copies of Once Upon a Time. I saw that in the theater. I was so excited. But yeah, I mean, Desperado is one of those movies you could watch. I mean, I could anyway. I could watch over and over and over. I've owned it multiple times, just different formats. And back when I used to live near a video store when I was a kid, when I was younger person, we would go up to the video store. We got this movie. I can't even tell you how many times. We just rented it all the time because we didn't understand. Like my mom was going to let me go buy a movie, and watch it all the time like that. So, anyway, I highly suggest Desperado. In tune with the '90s stuff that we're doing this month. I just thought I would talk about some more '90s movies because I enjoy them a lot. So, as Brandon says, I don't like anything new. So yeah. Anybody else got anything else they've been watching?
Is Desperado on a streaming service? I've never seen it.
Oh, you never have? Okay.
Nope.
I will find out for you right now.
I always used to get Once Upon a Time in Mexico and The Mexican mixed up.
Is that the Mel Gibson movie?
The Mexican is a Brad Pitt movie, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah. No, it's
The
The
what am I
Mexican.
thinking of?
Yeah, that's a Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts movie. Pretty sure. It is not streaming right now, but you can buy it.
I was thinking of Get the Gringo.
Yeah.
That movie, Mel Gibson. That movie's not good. Tried to watch it. But yeah, no, speaking of Mel Gibson, I think we're going to have to go and do a special episode when The Fat Man comes out. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Pretty excited about that one. That'll be our Christmas party this year.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Well, folks, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to CiNEMACHiNE this week. We know things get a little passionate on this show, but it's all in good fun. At the end of the day, we hugged and made up. We just like movies.
We love each other.
Yeah, it's just that whatever. We don't talk to each other outside of this. We all have agents.
There's a reason that we do this remote.
Yeah, there's a
Prevents
reason.
Physical violence.
Yeah, it's called restraining orders. So we each have a restraining order on the others. But no, we want to thank you for watching. Ryan, you want to tell them where they can find us again?
Yep. On social at CiNEMACHiNE Pod. And make sure you leave your vote for next week's movie there. And then on YouTube, comments in the comments. So we'll see you next week.
All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next CiNEMACHiNE.
Bye.